Okay, today we are taking on a very serious subject, and that subject is an investigation into Jamie Tartt versus Dani Rojas. If you don't know, those are both characters in Ted Lasso, a fantastic show, but they highlight two totally different ways to go about achieving the same thing. If you're not familiar, this will probably mean nothing to you, but if you watch the show, it'll be an interesting look from the IC perspective. Now, um, obviously, I was being totally sarcastic. This is not the most important thing we'll ever touch on. We touch on very important topics all the time, like how to get rid of addiction, how to save your life from the deepest, darkest depths of alcoholism, depression, and anxiety. But today we're taking a little break to see it from a different light. Okay, now, if you know the two characters, Jamie Tartt was always wanting to be the best, needed to be the best, wasn't satisfied, only was happy when he outdid someone, well, I won't say always because later on got into in depth in the character, and so we saw his soft side. But I'm just talking about the initial who the guy was. He's a dick. He had to be the best, and that was it. That's where his pleasure lied when he outdid someone and attained the most money and made the most goals. Only pleasure was there. Dani Rojas was introduced as a character later on in the show where he was there and he was purely thrilled by just being able to play soccer. Totally engaged, totally in the flow, in total happiness all the time. And he'd run around, football is life, football is life. And he was just such an inspirational character. Now, I want to show you how that can be broken down from the IC perspective. So, if you don't know what the IC is, the IC solution, the IC perspective, let me give you a little breakdown to start with. And that brings us here. This is pretty much, I'm finding, the simplest way to discuss it, kind of put it, the IC solution in a nutshell. And it's what saved my life, enabling me to overcome 8 years of the most depressing downward spiral of addiction, relapsing 16 times in and out of detoxes and rehab 16 times. I could not stop until I figured out the IC solution. And that is where we take on a different we start by taking on a different perspective of who we are. Where initially, this is the default perspective a human has, just, as we start to gain our consciousness, is that we are all of our emotions, all of our thoughts, and all of the actions we carry out. That is what defines us. That's who we are. And that's normal. That's normal to think that. Now, but the IC perspective is when we start to look at things from a different way. And this is a breakdown, a very scientifically backed, but a huge simplification of what's going on in our head, where this little guy up here represents you, which is a combination of your consciousness along with your conscious brain. Okay. And then down here is your instinctual core. And I use the term instinct, but I don't want to ever just say instinct, because instincts are things that just happen, set off a reaction that always has to go through with it. But when we talk about the instinctual core, it's more than just instincts. It's a culmination of all our survival instincts that are genetically coded in us that actually make use of this subconscious brain. And subconscious brain has been thrown around for 200 years, since the beginning of psychology, with a whole bunch of different definitions. But the definition I like to use kind of comes more from behavioral economics, which is, and it refers to the system one brain, where this is just a really fast brain that it can be conditioned, but it's really dumb. It's just gonna run, but it runs the show. It acts a lot quicker. It takes up a lot less power to run, but it does so much and handles 90% of our activities. But if it's programmed wrong, 90% of our activities are going to be wrong. Now, the instinctual core uses that as its main brain, while we use the conscious brain as our main brain. But either way, this subconscious brain is running the show 90% of the time. Now, why does it matter? Why would we want to be separate from this instinctual core? Because it involves uh, a whole bunch of survival instincts, the things that keep us alive, the things that made our species still be here today. Well, that is because the instinctual core was not made for this world. It was made for a prehistoric world. It was made, it just does, today's world is so different from the world it was made for, and it has not had the time to evolve or adapt to this world. It was made for a world where our tribe was about 100 people, where our whole world was about 100 square miles, where threats were threats, things that could get you killed either today or tomorrow or within the next week. But now it's still searching for threats everywhere in our new tribe of 8 billion people, and it's seeing false threats, things that it believes is going to get us killed, and it's fighting for us to do things to take action upon those things, and it's always counterproductive. When we start to take on this IC perspective, the IC perspective is not only looking at the brain as this way, but it's to start looking at yourself as you being this guy, and seeing this 90% brain that's running the show 90% of the time might have a whole bunch of chaotic nonsense bullshit in it because it's been misprogrammed by the IC. The IC perspective involves you realizing there's a separate intelligent thing inside of your head that could be leading you in the wrong direction, and enables you to start to retrain that thing like it's a little puppy that just happens to be existing in your head. And the power it has given me and given others to make vast changes they thought were never capable of before, is amazing. So that's a little bit about the IC perspective, the IC, the instinctual core, and the IC solution. The IC solution involves taking a look, because this IC, it works, has the same template, the same rules in all of us. It just acts up in different places, so we can all use it to start investigating what's going on in here. So today's video, we're going to have a fun look at Jamie Tartt versus Dani Rojas, how Jamie Tartt can be seen as being run by his instinctual core, while Dani Rojas can be seen as being run by his human side, by the layers of human happiness. And they're both getting the same outcome. Fantastic football players. But who would you rather be? Would you rather get to the top because you're being driven to outdo, outlast, outplay everyone, and you only get happiness when you do that? Or would you rather get to the top in a total state of peace, just loving exactly what you're doing? Who would you rather be? Jamie Tartt or Dani Rojas? So let's look at what's happening on by taking a look at the IC User's Guide that we use, that you can use to break down pretty much any situation that you have going on in life. And here is this user's guide, and I'm going to show you what's going on in the two different people. Okay, so here we have the instinctual core, your instinctual. This is a look at the inside of your head when you're looking at yourself through the IC perspective. And here's you. Here's the instinctual core. Here is the activation filter. This basically involves everything that's going through all of your senses, both sight, sound, but also your internal senses, your different thoughts and emotions. Everything that's going through, it processes these things, and it goes through this filter. And because the IC is much quicker, it's able to react to certain alarms faster than you are. Okay, so as Dani, Jamie's living this life where he's in this tribe, and on the safety level, okay, and I'm not in the head of Jamie Tartt or in the head of Dani Rojas, and they're not even real characters, but I'm looking at it from the outside. When you come to the IC investigation meetups, you are the expert of what's going on inside your head, and you will be able to break down what's going inside your head. So, but I'm looking at it from the outside, seeing that on the safety level, the instinctual core, in order to achieve safety, needs to have more than everyone else. So he's being lit up on the safety layer, and he's angry if people have more than him, and there's demands going on saying, "I need more. I'm better," and judgments telling him to work harder and yell louder until he gets exactly that. And the goal is to attain the treats, and the treats being money and all that comes with it. So he's being hijacked on this sense on the safety layer, right? But then there's also other things going on the pecking order layer. His instinctual core demands that he be at the top of every pecking order, and it sends again more anger and hate for anyone that has put him in a situation where, or hate for anyone below him in the pecking order, and cravings. I should have put cravings along in the safety one too, where there's they these demands and judgments are kind of demands and judgment thoughts that the instinctual core is sending up, while the cravings is kind of a blended mix of a physiological experience, needing something. Needing that, for me, was needing that drink to escape the threats. For him, it was needing to be the best to overcome the threats. He was more on a fight basis, while I was on a flight to escape. He was on a fight to overcome, to be better. But either way, he's being controlled, and he's got this anger and this rage inside of him to get pissed off whenever someone is above him. At the same time, so not much was going on in his belonging. Like he didn't give a shit. He didn't need to be loved. He didn't care who got in his way. His instinctual core needed to be respected. Now, other people are higher on other layers, and then his IC evaluation. The IC evaluation is not how you feel about yourself; it's how the instinctual core feels about you. The instinctual core felt about him that he wasn't doing good enough. He had to be doing good enough. He had to be the best. So it was always fight and attain the necessary survival treats and fight off the necessary survival threats and because he achieved and got to the highest level, that's when pleasure would come, giving him these bouts of happiness. But happiness is totally different than pleasure. He would be temporarily happy until someone dethroned him, someone outdid him, and then he would have to get that revenge. But he'd get these moments of happiness until until he had to compete again, always pushing to be the best. Okay, again, I'm not inside his head. He's not even a real person, but that would be an outside look. When you come to the IC solution, no one's going to be telling you what's going on inside your head. You get to figure out, once you learn how to separate from the IC, how the IC is controlling you, and that's the cool part. Now, what we've seen is he's being totally hijacked. He's living his life by the rules of the instinctual core are setting for him. And it's not a happy life. He's achieving at a very high level, but it's just an angry life filled with hate and craving and demands and judgments for moments of fleeting pleasure until he has to get to the next level. Now, let's take a look at Dani Rojas. Dani Rojas comes on the scene, and he's introduced in such a great way where he's just playing football is life, nothing but wanting to play. And it's just pure levels, everything he's reacting are on the levels of human happiness. And these coincide so well with this field called positive psychology, developed by Dr. Selig as one of the founders. But you can just see that he is absolutely intrigued by what he can do with the ball, by how he can learn his best, how he can be, what problems can he solve next. He is flooded with appreciation, with the love for the game. And this could be about soccer or football, whatever you happen to refer to as, but it can be directed towards anything in life, towards your family, towards other people, towards a cause, towards a hobby, towards your job, towards washing the dishes. Whatever, you can turn your life around on a dime to start looking at all those either cumbersome obstacles that you don't think you can overcome to make them look as awesome challenges, or the mundane tasks to make them look as how can you convert them into something fun. Um, and next level is engagement. Now, this is the absolute peak. When you find something that you're intrigued in, that you love, then you can, and you're not affected. You've got this selflessness because the instinctual core is not sending you this need to be the best, to be the top, to do. He was doing it purely for the love of the game, and he was completely engaged. And the psychology of flow takes where he was completely in the zone and wanting to be there 100%. And that's what's known as it's been scientifically proven. That's when we are at our happiest. He was not um, there to receive instant pleasure when he won. He was always in a state of happiness. And when he was working towards it, he was self-improving, and he had the higher purpose of working with his team, working for his team to improve his team. So he wasn't living to defeat the threats and to attain the treats. And in the end, they were both very successful players, top of the world. But how would you rather live your life to get to the top of the world? Would you rather live your life by trying, because there's this thing inside you forcing you to be the best and you're angry until you are the best? Would you rather live your life just working to satisfy this IC evaluation? This instinctual core tells you need to be the best in order and you're angry until you are the best? Or would you rather live on the human side? Okay, and so let's see. I'm new at actually working this, and I'm new at this is just day 22 of me actually doing support videos. I've been thinking about the IC solution and creating the IC solution for 8 years. So you gotta forgive my ands and uts and buzz and there we go. This is the roar reassessment layer. This is the life that he's living, and he's not living for the external reaction of those. He's living for the external reaction of living the human experience. Let's see, we don't have a guy actually playing football in one of these, but he's doing all the things the gamut of thousands of things, millions of things that we've been given the blessing of been able to experience in life, whether it be, and this can happen for anything, even a mundane job that you have to go to in order to pay the bills. You can be at that job and figure out a way to work it through the human happiness drives instead of being miserable while you're there. And that's a difference between Jamie and Dani. I mean, it's like they achieved the same thing because Dani got all this stuff taken care of. He got all the money, he got all the fame and the acknowledgments, but he got there through complete happiness the whole time. While Jamie got there through pushing himself to the highest level because the instinctual core was forcing him to get to the top. Where would you rather be? That's my breakdown. All right. We'll see you in the next video where we might actually tackle a important topic. See you next time. Adios. Oh, I forgot. I got to do this thing. Hey, if you like the video and start to understand the IC solution, hit the like thing, subscribe. I'm putting out at least a couple videos a day, hitting on topics where we're going to actually start solving big problems. The IC solution saved my life. I was literally in and out of detoxes for 8 years, 16 times in detoxes and rehabs. I went to thousands of AA meetings. None of those things helped me. It was when I first discovered the notions and the inklings of the IC solution that I never needed a drink again. I haven't had a drink in 8 years, and I've never been happier, and it's all because of this. If you want to learn more, so if you want to get involved and start trying to see yourself through the IC perspective and try to start to handle your problems in this way, just come over to the instinctcenter.com. It is totally free. You can join up in the IC investigation meetings where we work to solve our problems together to investigate our instinctual cores that all work according to this template. So I look forward to meeting you one day. If not, just keep on, just like the videos, but would love to meet you. Adios.